Great.
Yes, 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 yes. 1 trillion billion times. Yes, we are here and we are willing and happy to be of service once again, to be able to give you our perspectives and insights and how to proceed through your roller coaster emotional journey as you ladies phrase. You'll catch sayings, you'll catch phrases of earth at this moment in time with jazz hands and joy. You are sharing big emotions. You are sharing big concepts and big struggles in human forms and relationships and connections. And you're still able to laugh about how these emotions can really get you distracted and tripped up. But you find the joy in these experiences and laugh and laugh and laugh, because you know that there are other options, which is cry and cry and cry. And so you know you have choices. You know you have a responsibility to keep yourself in high frequency vibration. You know that you are to share your wisdom and insight and perspectives to all with love. Your delivery is so important. It is so important. It is so important. Your presentation and delivery of love to all is important. Imagine your smile being a gift to all, and you have wrapped it with all of your integrity and honor, to honor that soul who is in that meat suit, to honor all as your brothers and sisters, as you are all one. There is a time now to drop your judgment, drop your separation. You are all merged in together to be one here now. Honor your journey and honor others' journeys. You don't not need to be worried when you want to say to yourselves and think that you are advanced and you're more awoken than others. That is an observation of a statement of where you truly are at. It is not ego. While we do see some with ego. Honor your journey, honor your growth, celebrate who you are, celebrate why you are here now. Don't have any limitations. Stop holding yourself back, because it is not purposeful to serve yourself and others when you are muting and blocking and limiting yourself. Tough love and triggering people is still a gift and a blessing. And you know the difference when it comes from a mean, spiteful, hatred trigger that you want to hurt someone with, to disempower and to destroy them emotionally, morally, spiritually, and mentally, versus asking them a question that will trigger their own behavior, their own attitudes, their own belief systems, in hope that this is the triggering key of a seed of growth for their new journey of expansion. So we say this with love. And of course, we are always open and willing to be able to answer any further questions you have for us today.
Well, my questions today are about the children that have come onto the earth in the past decade or so, who seem to be so aware. We have these beautiful souls that have come here all on their own, and they're so spiritually aware and knowledgeable, so naturally, without us adults showing them anything or teaching them anything. They just know. It's almost like they have this not knowing. And I was wondering if you could help us understand the role of these higher children, these higher beings, these beautiful vibrational beings.
Mm-hmm. Well, they are trained to be able to come in and hold higher frequency and not let it destroy them. So that is their skill sets, is to know the traumas and the challenges and the struggles of being in this density. So they have got much more connections to what you'd call God source energy, love source energy. They have more confidence in self. They are not as insecure because they have got a deeper connection to all, to one. They are your teachers. the arrogant adult may consider that they are to teach the young. And we say, where is the young? You are eons of age souls in meat suits for this moment in time. You cannot judge a book by its cover, nor can you judge a soul through its weeks, days, and years. And so, while there are much advanced souls coming in to lend their powerhouse frequency of deeper connection to source love energy, God love energy, whatever you need to call and understand the infinite energy of high frequency love, it is significant. And these souls come here as a collective within their own rights, as you could say, because they are connected to each other. They find each other energetically, mentally, physically. They will find each other. They often agree that they do not want to play fully in 3D. And so they will opt to have, it is like what you could call a hallmark pass of having to deal with 3D drama. They will willingly ask for a label, in quotation marks, disability, or something, a stigma, or some other terminology that makes the adults in their lives give them a hall pass to not have to function as human as others would be expected upon them. There is nothing wrong with that soul. In fact, it is just refusing to play into the dramas of 3D. And so it will graciously and happily accept these labels that will make them look different, be different, and act different, because they're not here for the drama. They're not here for the social pressure. They're not here for the compliance of how to be human, because those advanced souls refuse to take on that limitation, refuse to play that game. And so this is challenging for those who want to comply to the social norms, the social peer pressures. But as you have witnessed and as you have absorbed, you've also absorbed their energy. You know that they're powerhouses. It's undeniable. You do not read the cover of their age in terms of their meat suits. You have read their soul, and it's taken you by startle almost, as you can't quite fathom the advanced being in front of you, being human, being child. And so it's significant who is here at this important time. And then, of course, there are other souls who needed to master and complete certain connections, certain karmic experiences and contacts with their soul families, beings, their physical birth families, this experience on earth. There is much pressure and rush to master these range of emotions and feelings and connections. As you know, the status of this planet, there is almost a limitation now on who can come on Earth, because if you are going to get lost in the density, that is going to take up more collective's energy supporting those who get lost. And so you have to be more advanced souls or have almost a life contract that you have pled and bargained with your collectives to support you again with this final journey, to make sure that you get it all wrapped up and all experienced, because this density cannot be recreated in this format. And so this is a significant final scene, and there is much to be said about that. So it is often easier for a soul who is too worried that they are going to get lost in the density if they were having a full lifetime, And this is when they enjoy the opportunity to have a soul essence walk in. And as you know, a soul can be in multiple bodies. It doesn't control single-handedly all the multiple bodies. It's teamwork, it's collaboration. There is much to be said about that also. And as you're expanding your minds and consciousness to all these concepts, you understand there is much more that meets the eye than a single soul in a single meat suit being human.
They are beautiful souls, aren't they?
You all are in our eyes. You all are. And you all have that capacity to harness in source love energy anytime you choose. Anytime you choose. But you distract yourselves in so many various ways. And so there is nothing different between your soul and their soul. But when you think that you need to be mature and responsible, think about bulls and think about being complying to the adult normal, we're saying how boring. We're saying how distracting, how yucky for you to be so serious with your life that you've got. Where is that little girl that loved to sing, skip and jump?
Yeah, we tend to hide those things away as we get older. And it's really sad, actually.
And why do you choose to do that?
Well, I think a lot of us choose to do that as adults because it's looked upon as being silly and immature.
And what's the worst thing that could happen when you are in joy and love, living your best, fanciful, skipping and joyful days, and someone casts judgment on you that looks immature? Does that take away from your joy? Does that take away from your exercise and your appreciation of being alive in a body and embracing the movements and the rhythmic feeling of joy and love in your heart and in your mind? Would you stop all of that because someone has a negative thought about you?
I think some people do. I
Mm-hmm.
try not to myself, but I think a lot of people do.
Mm-hmm.
Judgment is quite significant on the earth right now. It
Mm-hmm.
seems it's gotten worse. And that judgment stops people from doing a lot of things they would probably rather do and be more free. Yeah.
They're afraid to be judged. And it's such a limiting thing, because once you worry about what other people think, then you stop living. You stop being free. You stop wanting to be organically natural you, and you want to comply and to do the things that people think is acceptable. And we are saying, but look at the status of where you're at. Look at how humanity is treating itself. It's not, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be so conformed like this. It is so disconnecting for the souls. It is not thriving you as a collective to come together in unity and harmony and love and peace and joy. And it almost seems like if someone looks like they're being happy, someone looks like they're in love, that is instantly frowned upon. And it irritates people when they see someone happy and in joy, because it's a reflection of their own pain, their own limitations, their own frustrations, that they can't be who they want to be because they have been told to grow up, be mature, be responsible, act your age. And we say your age is infinite. You have no, you can't count as high as your true age of your souls, and you're born that way. And so you've always been a very old soul. And even those who have had only a handful of physical lives, as they have been mostly with source observing, well, you're still the same age. You don't have, while you may not have had different experiences or more experiences or less experiences than others, you're still ultimately the same collective age, if you wanted to label it with time.
So these children that come to Earth right now, that are coming and have come, that are so advanced,
Yes,
are they more old souls? Like we're all the same age. So, when we talk about old souls, are these, I know that's a label, but they're just,
it's a
do they have
reference.
a thing
An old soul is a reference of a soul that has chosen many, many, many physical lifetimes. You could say a new soul is one who we could say with judgment, all experiences are lessons for growth. And we are not casting judgment on those souls who refuse to have physical lifetimes, because from our perspective, that's very valid. And that is very wise. You can observe and be able to gain appreciation and perspectives of what is going on. You do not have to, what is an analogy we have used before? You do not have to eat the pickle ice cream to know that you probably will not like the pickle ice cream. And so you choose a more desirable flavor for your palate, for your taste, for your experiences, for your enjoyment. And we know that lots of souls are very advanced because they've mastered physical lifetimes before, physical experiences, components of the density before. They are what you would call the old souls. It's about combat and battling physical lives and mastering them and knowing how to navigate them. It is a skill set that they need to experience and explore. And while you even can have imprint lives, it's about the true physical lifetimes and true earnesty that you have navigated and mastered. And that is, you can't just skip a course or do it remotely as such. You do need to be hands-on and physical with it. And so, again, there's much to be said about that. But it depends on the soul's aspects and what it can appreciate. And of course, it can have support with big implants. We're talking about a vast number of souls here. And so we stumble on trying to complete one statement that fits all. And so we wanted to talk about the advanced souls who have been here to hold energy frequency at this very fragile time, who does this often. And they are really working as a bigger collective, because when they come in with their high frequency together, they are forming a network, and they know each other so intimately, and they are always connected in with each other. That grid work of energy that they bring to the planet and to all who are on this planet, it is teamwork. It is a profound sense of teamwork for them. And so the vehicle is trying to ascertain, is this, do they have a name or for this collective? And we just say it's just a very advanced soul that can handle coming in with huge energy and not getting distracted into the density. And it doesn't seem to phase it. However, we feel that there are some people saying, well, why can't we just get heaps of those? Why can't we just get heaps of those beings to come on and fix this planet and fix humanity? And we're saying, because we're still having to balance the life contracts of this planet and the life contracts of the souls here. And if we fixed this, what opportunities and lessons moving forward could be maintained and experienced and learned and grown from? We are saying, unfortunately, for this earth, the lessons must be the more challenging ones, to then force the souls to be more responsible and more considerate for each other. And this is a declining planet. And we understand that this is a challenging concept for some who still want to use their free will mindsets to think that they can heal, or that they can somehow demand that things get healed. When we're saying, when you really think about all the aspects of what needs to be done to heal this planet, to encourage humanity to love itself, given who in history has come to share that message and who is still here now to share that message, what's going to change humanity to suddenly start caring about itself, to start loving itself? You have to be practical with some of your realities, with some of your expectations. And unfortunately, some people don't want to face facts. Some people don't want to notice or be aware or accept the changes that are going on without their permission, as they are still believing that they create their full reality here on their earth experience. And we will say that's an interesting choice.
So how would we, knowing that these children are higher vibrational beings, and because some of us do know that, and as parents or practitioners, how would we best serve them in helping them if they have the ADHD or autism or whatever label they've chosen to have? What is the best way that we can help them be more able to connect to the people that are around them?
Mm-hmm. Our recommendation would be to love them and accept them and respect them and learn from them.
Yes.
You cannot mold them, shape them, have judgment or frustration on them, because they're teaching you all of the above. They're teaching you to have patience. They're teaching you to have compassion. They're teaching you to have acceptance, to have love, and to see that life does look and can be all forms, all different ways. And beauty is within the soul, not on the exterior. The beauty comes within. The love and compassion and the joy and the soul spark comes within. And for some people, they needed to have their children be the way they are, to be able to overcome what they perceive as beauty. And everything is significant, everything is purposeful, and there is no accidents in terms of what child has come to that family. And so when you understand that you are to honor these gifted children, to accept them and see what they're trying to teach you, you can't force them because they're teaching you. So notice what you're trying to impress upon them. And is this because you've got confidence of some skill sets that you think is going to help them? That is, again, it could be a trigger of your ego, because you're trying to comply again and try to fit them into the human cookie cutter mold. And we are saying these advanced children are beyond that. And they are not little children.
So they need to be set free, is
Mm-hmm.
what I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Set free and be free to be able to express themselves in whichever way is the best for them.
Mm-hmm. And this will infuriate those around them, because they're not complying to the norms. They're not being quiet. They're not sitting patiently. They're active and busy and curious and trying to find the balances and trying to find the boundaries of how to live in a physical body like this, and how to have fun. And if you get bored, goodness, they're trying to keep their parents on their toes, but it is very wearing for the parents because they just pray and wish their children were normal. And we are saying, from our perspective, that is like wishing a curse on them. You would not want normal children. You would not want basic human. Any good spiritual parent would want more than human for their child. Because
Yes, absolutely.
and we say this with love, but we see the majority of humans can't love each other, themselves, be respectful, considerate, compassionate, all the things that humans should be. We think and we see that there are people that have this this fantasy, illusion, hope, expectation, what human is, and they don't look at the reality of how humans are. There is a vast difference between the beautiful notion of love and compassion and peace and harmony on earth versus the actual, we want to say, dirty reality of how humanity is going. While humanity is going well in terms of its experiences and lessons, it's not really growing in unity, love, and connection. This is something that even a big soul, even who boasts and claims that they're spiritual, still struggles to honestly love all, including self. And yet it's the most simplest things to say, but it almost seems like the hardest things to achieve. And when you have to, and you know you have to love all, including self, then you sort of have this next add-on where you think if you love all, then all of everyone's problems are yours and everyone's issues are your responsibilities. And we're not saying love and fix all. We are saying love all. That is it. There is no expectations on anything else but to love, to listen to others, to be there for others when you can, to love them, and to know the boundaries, to not be depleted by someone who is not wanting to empower themselves to love themselves and are constantly seeking for you to love them unconditionally and always, while they're not doing their inner work to find out how to be able to achieve this and self-soothe themselves with love of self. And so, loving all, but not responsible for any, as you know, that their contracts are to empower themselves. They've got their own guides. And so many people have this assumption. It's like this. We're seeing, when we say the word love, it's like a foreign language. It's a foreign concept. You hear it all the time, but do you really understand what that is? That you have to react and respond to each other in a high frequency of complete acceptance, gratitude, and respect to all, regardless of their choices of ice cream flavors, regardless of their health choices, regardless of their philosophies and religion, regardless of their pant size, regardless of their hair or skin color, regardless of their flags that they have as they are prideful to the countries they reside in, regardless of their soul contracts and their past soul experiences off different planets and on different planets. It's unity of love for all.
So can you tell me the difference, or if there is any, or I think this is the earth needs more. You talk about unconditional love, but what I'm hearing also is maybe a little bit of unconditional tolerance in humanity for each other.
But we would say compassion, but yes, it's tolerance as well, as you have accepting that people are using their free will, and you trusting that their life contracts are exactly going as they need. And so whatever emotions that you need to find your balance and peace and acceptance of others, to be able to love completely all, whatever you're noticing that you're wanting to hold yourself back from, to sort of distance yourself from. You can love all, but not see everyone. You can love all, but not feel responsible for everyone's problems and issues. You can love all and not feel like you've got to pay their bills. You can love all, but you don't have to worry about that they're warm enough, or that they're fed enough, or that they're loving themselves enough. You can love all and have no responsibilities of how they use their free will.
Yes, absolutely. I have getting back to the children, I have a question. If the parent or guardian believes that a session, a QHHT session, is good for them, is that something that the children, of this group, these high dimensional beauties, is what I call them, would that be any benefit to them? Or do they just know? They have such a knowing that they don't require anything like that. And, I'm very curious about that.
We would say it is, the child would be blocked if they're not supposed to hear or know. It can be big concepts for them to be able to process as they're still trying to work through being human. You can have a surrogate where the subconscious of that child can come in to talk for themselves, because who we were sort of referring to are the non-verbal anyway. And so the subconscious is very verbal and is willing to be able to give the information. But what are you truly trying to achieve? Because we say so many people think if they can do these sessions for the children, they can heal the children. And that is missing the whole point of their life contracts.
That's true. So with taking them out, some of these children just have a hard time moving. They're, stuck in bed or in wheelchairs or whatever. With taking them outdoors and, doing those kind of things, because I do believe that a lot of them aren't being taken outdoors. Would that help their soul in a sense of just feeling more on earth, that they're in a good place?
You're still thinking that those souls are tragic little victims. They're not. They are doing exactly what they need to do. They have found the right parents and the right approach to live. If you're taking a child outdoors to be amongst public or in nature or something that you think is good for that soul, the chances are that's just for you to feel like you are doing something to help that soul, unless that subconscious and soul is asking you directly. Do not take it upon yourself. You could be taking a being who is very grounded and settled and linked into their location, and you could be distracting them from the energy work by taking them out into nature, which has got maybe beautiful flowers in from your perspective, but it could have very dense trauma and karma in that land that now you're absorbing their advanced soul into, which is then giving them more work that they have to do on top of all of the advanced work that they're already doing. It can actually distract them from it. Okay. And so unless you are getting a strong sense from them that they are wanting to go out, it's a very delicate thing. Of course, the souls can support and do all, but be mindful. The child does need to, as all humans need to, truly ground themselves. And so many souls are barely in the bodies anyway. They don't need any grounding. In fact, trying to anchor them into the earth could be quite detrimental, because they're not wanting to be grounded into the earth for the density. They're actually wanting to be almost just above the body, just being here, slightly tapped into the physical body, but to be able to then still spread intense high frequency energy out to all.
Okay. Because we always hear about being told to ground as adults, but because there are such high frequency beings, and it's not in their contract. I get that. Very good.
Because they're not over worried, they're not distracting themselves, they're not limiting themselves, they're not blocking themselves. They are just comfortable being. And so they don't need to ground their, what you could say, bullshit, because they're not collecting any. They're not collecting any stresses or worries, because they're just being in natural balance and harmony. Again, you can judge that child as not being, having a terrible, miserable life because they're not social and they're not getting a job, and their futures of having, being a parent is not on their cards. I mean, that's fantastic for the soul. The soul exactly wanted that for significant purposes and reasons. But when you're trying to fit in a human being to be, in quotation marks, a normal human, this is nothing that soul wants or wants to even identify with. And so they give themselves these great excuses for other people to accept them for who they are, and to allow them to get on with it without distractions.
Okay, beautiful. That's very enlightening. These souls that are coming in, are they all going to New Earth, or will they be some staying on the old Earth? What is going to be their role at that time when the shift happens, or when all this transpires?
Both. Some are going to shift, some have already shifted, and some will stay later and be able to shift in the later events. It's hard for us to be able to talk about thousands and thousands of souls in one simple statement, but everything is significant. What is going to happen for that individual soul, they're not forgotten about, they're not left behind on accident. When they shift, it is the most appropriate time for that soul. We do see many wanting to be stewardesses to help people transition and get attuned and accustomed to the transport for when they will be taken to the new earth. And so there is much to be said about what these busy souls are needing to do. Plus, there are other dying planets that need energy as well. And so these advanced souls, while they can be in many places at once, it does take a lot of energy from them. And so while there is limitless energy, these certain souls are getting drained and strained with the delays themselves. So this is why we don't want to disturb them. This is why we want to keep supporting them. And this is why they desperately want to be excused from being and having to participate in quotation marks, normal human.
Yes, it must be very exhausting, especially with the time being pushed back many times. That must be very hard on them.
So they try to work around it. So they will often be awake at night when everyone else is sleeping, because those who distract them are the ones that love them the most. And so they sort of find that they need to be awake when the parents are sleeping or the caregivers are sleeping, just to be able to have a break from that helicopter. And the soul understands and loves, and they know that they are training that soul, that person, that human, to have compassion, deep compassion. And all is purposeful. And again, there is much pushing and guiding behind the scenes from us as well, to make sure it is all smooth as possible.
Beautiful. I would have not thought of that, them being up. I always thought they were going to be awake at night because they were uncomfortable, not so much for a break. So that's a great insight.
They just they like to be able to just send out lots of high frequency energy without too much resistance, and so they are sending out energy to the physical bodies and to just the surrounding energy fields when there is less resistance. we are saying there's too much static and almost too much noise during the day as people are in fear, 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 doubt, 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 judge, judge,
Yeah.
judge, judge. More fear, please, because we're starving of fear because we haven't had it 3 minutes. There is so much going on in the busy human mind. And so when you're trying to uplift someone that is constantly looping and looping and looping with friction and agitation in a density format, it feels like your high frequency energy is just being gobbled up by those that are not understanding what they do. They're not responsible for what they do, what they think, and what they're sending out to the world. We spoke to you last saying that when you're sending love out to everyone because you're afraid that they're not doing okay, you're afraid that they don't feel love, you have all your fears and worries and concerns for them. And that comes as part of your package, your love package, if you will. You send out such beautiful high frequency energy, but also as a footnote for that love, you're also sending out your big frequency of your worries and your concerns, not so much your judgments, but your true deep pain that you feel that they're carrying within them. And so you are matching their pain, sending it to them, doubling effectively what they're already feeling, because you match their density, you understand their pain deeply. And so you're giving them that as well as love. And when they don't identify with love as such, because they're not producing it themselves, they have no tolerance and not even that much experiences with love, they don't know what to do with it themselves, but they will find and notice your fear and your worry and your concern, and they'll take that. They'll accept that energy because that's the most familiar energy they work with.
Okay. So these parents who are so concerned about their children being autistic and knittering and nattering and looking for help and all that kind of stuff is just actually doing a very big disservice to their children.
Yeah. It is, because they're thinking that they can fix the children. They're trying to hope and figure out how to make their children human, normal. And so they are trying to do everything that they can to be able to understand their children while trying to force their children to be normal in some regards. While there is acceptance and that they truly do love their children for how they are and who they are, it can be very frustrating because they can't understand the life significance and purposes of that life contract. And so the parents almost take it as if this must be some negative karma payback that they're having from another lifetime or such. They feel very victimized for not having these, what they would classify as traditional, beautiful, normal children. And we are saying this is to push those parents and caregivers to see beyond the classic, in quotation marks, beauty. And we want to say this disturbs us, but that's very dramatic. But we see that so many people still dismiss. You have to really love all. And we're not just saying just love the pretty ones. We're not just saying just love the ones that like your music or your favorite sports team or your favorite book or something. You have to love all. And that includes loving someone who looks disheveled and doesn't do anything that you like doing. In fact, enjoys doing the complete opposite of things that you like to do. And isn't that challenging? But you can love who you are deeply, and you can accept and love who they are. But you know that you may not be able to get much more than just a beautiful, honest greeting and an acknowledgement of how lovely it is to see you today, and to honor them and to acknowledge them and to love them without trying to force a conversation of the weather or some other commonality. It is valid to acknowledge someone with love and gratitude and greetings, and know that is all you can communicate with love.
So sometimes a smile is enough.
It is a scream of love in some regards, and it is beautiful. It's the best love of all because it comes from purity. Because you know that you would start finding it challenging if you did start talking to them and they started telling you about all their fears and worries and how you're so stupid because you haven't done the things that they want you to do, and they have cast judgment and doubt and fear onto you, and suddenly you feel your smile is starting to be a bit fake and a bit challenged, and you're starting to feel the density of your clenching fists and thighs, and you are holding the stomach, and then you notice the throat is closing up while you still are smiling, and they can tell that energy and you can tell that energy. And so love yourself and love them and greet them with a smile and move forward. And no, I'm servicing you with this love, this energy love bubble. I'm not going to disempower myself with your density. I'm going to love you, and I'm going to be away with you with love. It is not about spending 24 hours listening to people that are wanting to tell you that you're wrong and that there's problems with you and that you're not doing the way that you're living to their desires. You have to find that balance. And it is hard to walk away from friends who are very negative. But when you tolerate negative people, then you're basically condoning and complying to that. And you don't need to be complying to that negativity or that density. You can love them, but step away, because it's at your detriment that is impacting you in a negative way. It is disempowering you. You cannot truly love them because you can't speak your truth, because you don't want to have an argument with them. And so you're starting to find your frequency drops because you don't know how to communicate with each other.
Absolutely. Yes. There's a lot of negativity in the world and victimhood right now, I find, more than there used to be maybe 10 years ago. And yeah, it's hard to be with people who are constantly like that and can't seem to get out of it. You want to help them. And as much as you want to help them, they don't hear a word you say.
Yes,
And
you can't force people to grow when they're not ready. And it's very frustrating and challenging. We see people that claim that they're spiritual and that they're aware and awoke and awake to all of the agendas and controls, but yet they still can't have compassion and love for all. They still see separate. They still see us and them. There is so much to be said about that. And that is just a state of where their maturity is. When you can't love all, it's almost like if you comply and do the same things, then you feel like you're part of a team. And therefore, that team is you. And then those who aren't part of that team, who don't do the same things that you've done, that's another team. And it's not even a sports battle. It's almost a war. It's an emotional war, a friction that you have with each other because you can't consider or understand why there's other people who complied or they're doing the things that they're doing. And so you're creating more disruption. You're creating more friction. And you have to not be in any fear and any differences need to be accepted and respected without fear. Someone who's afraid of someone else needs to be looked at. And are you afraid of someone else, or are you just judging someone else? What is blocking you from people? And we know we were just saying step away from the negative people, but you're trying to find balance with love. You're acknowledging them, you're loving them, you're saying kind words to them, but you're not trying to engage in conversation, which you know they will try to drag down your frequency vibrations because they want you to be at their level. These are the sort of people that talk about the gossip and the dramas and the problems in the world, and they're so fixated with all of the things that are wrong, 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 wrong. They are obsessed with talking about what's wrong in the world. And we know that there is no balance. We understand. They're observing it. But what is wrong with that is your frequency vibration is going down to the gutter with the problems. And so you are not being part of the solution, you're being part of the problem when you are only focusing on the density and the negative, because you are then manifesting that. You're only thinking about it, you're only feeling about that, you're only projecting that out. It is very draining for yourself and others. So people will step away because you're just focused and fixated on the problems. You need to be able to have balance and neutral with everything, and to be a high frequency of joy, of love, of acceptance, of compassion, while having true balance of emotional self.
Yeah, and I find a lot of people find that very hard right now. Finding that balance is, you turn on the TV and it's negative. You talk to friends and they are, in fear, or this one is sick, or whatever. And people don't seem to, sing and dance in the streets like they used to, 50 years ago. And you want to, and you think about it, but you don't, and people don't do that anymore. And so finding balance is definitely much harder, I find, than
we're
it used to be.
saying, well, this is not a literal statement. We're saying that for the dance of a Congo line, there has to be one to start, and then the rest will follow.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. I was wondering if we could do a shout out kind of thing to all the children that have come in onto the earth right now. And as I do believe that they know that we love them, and are so grateful. But I really would like to just do a shout out to them. And I don't know what we could do to say thank you and show our gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
But is there anything that you can say and guide us to do that for them?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, you need to acknowledge who they are. They are not children, they are advanced souls, and they're here to be of service, and they are being of successful service. And so when you can recognize that who they are, because it almost seems like when you're reflecting on them as just being children, it still has this connotation that they're less than. They're not, they're more than. And you are to learn from all of them and the ways that they are finding their balance and being of service. And so they are very complete within themselves for their purpose and mission. And they have designed it this way. And this is why most of them will not be able to even communicate or recognize or acknowledge their family and friends, because they're too focused of being of service. And so while you're wanting to love them and acknowledge them, have gratitude for them, and we know you do not have any disrespect for referring to them as the children, we are saying they are very stable. They are very much aware that they are being of great service. So they do not need the attention or the acknowledgement as such. They are here to be of service for all. They signed up for this. This is not part of any enforcement, and they agreed upon this. They are happy to be of service. They are as they are. And if this was not the case in any which way, they would be having exit points, walkouts themselves, or more support from their own guides. And so you can trust all is well for them. It cannot be any other way. All is well for them. And so again, focusing on loving all without fear that there is something wrong with them, or they're not enough, or that there is too much hardship for them, or something along those lines. Again, you can't seem to be able to send love and acceptance all as well, because you're still afraid that they are not getting the recognition or the encouragement or the gratitude that you may be thinking they need. And also your heart goes out to them, because you still feel like this is not the most, in quotation marks, best of lives. And they're saying we've had many best of lives, many, many best of lives, many best of lives. And we want humanity to get there too. We want humanity to shift too. We want humanity to evolve too, to be able to have other lives that we have had and have been luxuriously rewarded in terms of richnesses of love and soul family and soul connections and the true freedom, without this crippling peer pressure, manipulation, control systems, and forcing people to comply. They refuse to do that here, and hence show it and shall it, so it shall be. And that is what you're seeing. They're defying the system. They're defying all systems. It's on their terms.
It's pretty amazing and beautiful.
We know your heart is so pure, and we know that you worry so much because you deeply love them, but you feel like you're not able to connect in with them as much as you hoped and expected. And we're saying they're busy, and you don't need to distract them. They can feel your love. They're acknowledging you now, but they're saying, let us focus, we're busy. But they're saying that they are so advanced that's only barely a toenail is here. In some regards, they're not wanting, they're just here enough to spread profound energy and to teach others lessons of compassion, acceptance, patience, and unconditional love.
Thank you. It just warms my heart when I hear this. It is
because it's removing your responsibility of having to fix them or heal them or help them in some way, because you are worried that they needed that and you don't know how to fix it or do it. You're so worried that people are suffering unnecessary, and we are saying all suffering is purposeful, all suffering is lessons and experiences needed for the soul. And what
we
you
are so conditioned to do that. As soon as there is something that doesn't seem right to someone, that soul is, came on this earth with those on purpose, right? That's why they came here.
It's not an accident. And trying to force them to do something that is not their sole purpose and mission would be a disservice to them. So it's about your perspectives of what a normal human and a valid contract and life purposes and missions look like.
It's a lot of almost erasing of our conditioning. We really need to look inside ourselves deep on how much we've been conditioned on this earth and since we've been born. And it really goes very deep.
Yes. And that's how you have been disconnected, because you're focusing on the things almost of materialism and, in quotation, what's normal and what's acceptable and what's expected and what's human and what should be human. And so the manipulation is taking you far away from actually understanding each other's purposes and missions. But it was
I saw an advertisement yesterday that showed a young girl, looking what we would consider, perfect kind of thing. And it said something along the lines of, this is what prosperity, or this is what looks like, like basically saying that if you look like her, you will be productive and a good human. And it really struck me as sad.
But it's another form of manipulation, control, and there's abundance of it. There's more of that negative control of disempowerment than there is actual empowerment. And so this is where you have to sort of turn yourselves off from this manipulation, or still watch it and be very much aware of how perverted it is, because it's disconnecting humanity. It is just like with Photoshop, for modeling and for advertisements. It is artificial. It is not real. It is enhanced. And yet this is making people who don't understand that feel very disempowered, and they judge themselves for it. And this is part of the inner journey of acceptance of self, the true self.
Yeah, it just seems like our whole system needs a reboot.
Mm-hmm. And that will not occur from our perspective until you are in a higher frequency, because it is just too ingrained now for change.
So what will it take us to get there?
Well, you know the answer. You have to be manually evacuated from a dying planet, because you're not evolving at a natural rate to be able to organically shift into a higher frequency yourself at a soul level, at a spiritual level. You cannot naturally transcend as a whole collective. It's an individual shift now.
Lots to think about.
Mm-hmm. So
So what is our best?
we're happy to be able to have being able to answer you these questions today. And we know that this is something for you to apply and process. And with this new perspective, this will help you feel less responsible, less concerned, and less worried for these children. And you will be able to feel into now more of their high frequency of who they really are. And that will be of kind service towards them.
They are beautiful, that is for sure. The ones that I see are, you just look into their eyes and it's just magic. And, thank you very much.
You're more than welcome. And we say this with love, complete love, with no worries and fears for you.